And very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. Coverage of the Ben Nevis Golden 1200. A stunning day, a stunning part of the country, and we're about to see some rally cars in action on the highest public road in New Zealand. Thanks for joining us. Dale Budge, joined by the voice of rallying in New Zealand, Blair Bartels. BB, have you ever been rallying in a more stunning location than this?
Well, once 2 years ago, yeah. But, what a spectacular place. It's just, the outlook is superb. And not just rally cars, Budgie, you know, we've got cross cars, we've got quad bikes, we've got motorbikes. In fact, we see the motorbikes first up very, very shortly. And it's been a spectacular display so far, and we can't wait to bring this third run to you live.
Yeah, so just to sort of fill our viewers in on what's taken place so far, already been 2 full runs. The competitors have had a couple of runs through this 3.6 kilometre long piece of road. As you can see in the background there, it starts down the bottom of the valley, winds all its way up 22 different corners to get to the top, 1,200 metres above sea level. And as you can see there, that is the Group 1. running order.
Some of the top cars we expect to see. So it's reverse seating. So Job Quantock will be the last car we see. Harry Judd, Ben Huband, Ben McLaren, Harry Silcock. That will actually be in that car. Sean Haggerty for the first run. A lot of these cross cars being double driven, which is fantastic to see. Richard Yallop there. And down into Thomas Good, the beautiful Mark 1 Escort, and some of the two-wheel drive cars. So there's a few of the four-wheel drive cars, and then we'll have a break after car 38, and then we get into Group 2. So
Group 2, of course, the sort of pointy end, that's your four-wheel drive cars, your open class, and the likes of Hayden Paddon. So just very quickly, let's have a look at some of the times from those first two runs. So basically the way the format works is the best run today added to the final run from tomorrow. That is your time for the weekend. So just give us a bit of a rundown, Blair, on what we've seen so far through the first two runs this morning.
Yes, so Hayden Paddon, probably as anticipated, fastest. 2 minutes 10.3, so that's a cracking time. Ian Fitch set a 2:22.9 in his first run. That still holds him second, but he had a mechanical failure in the second run today. So looked like something in the gearbox or the chain. We couldn't quite see what was... we haven't heard officially, but he was looking somewhere in that area. So Fitchy's time so far holds him second, and hopefully we'll see him this afternoon because, man, he is a loose unit. He is spectacular to watch. Third place, Matt Penrose, the first of the cross cars. Now, this is also a round of the cross car championship, as we're just getting word that the first of the bikes is on the road, which will be Andrew Wright. Michael Tall sitting in fourth, Mike Wellington in fifth, Ari Pettigrew sixth at another one of the cross cars, then Neil Webb, Sean Haggerty in his Subaru Impreza. We see Sean twice. He'll be once in the cross car in the first group, and in the second group he'll be in the Subaru Impreza, and Jack Winter rounding out the 10 as we see Andrew Wright. This should be.
It is. So the first of the live competitors, first of run 3 here at the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200.
Just look at that backdrop as they head in. So basically we picked them up largely from the Repco hairpin. They snaked their way up the hill. There's a series of switchbacks, the Hyundai hairpin, the Ben Nevis Station hairpin, and up towards a jump over the finish line. So that's a bit of a new thing this year, and there's been some pretty spectacular hang time we've been seeing, Budgie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, very exciting, and we'll see some of that in just a moment as we see Wright hint into the Repco hairpin. It's a series, so it's fast down at the sort of bottom end of the course, a little bit faster, more open, gets tighter, and a lot more switchbacks at this end as they work up to where we are here in the commentary position.
Yeah, absolutely, and you see the different style, I guess, for those who are used to watching rally cars, that these bikes have to run a lot of leaning, stabilise, having that foot there just as a safety margin. These guys are you cannot knock their bravery. You certainly would not find me on one of those doing that. You couldn't
pay me enough to do that. No way. That is
not enough pies in the bakery.
Some big kahunas, that one.
Yep. So he works his way up around the Ben Nevis hairpin. This is the final corner. Just getting into a little bit of the soft stuff there, and that'll just cost him a little bit of time to get the power down. And now it's just that last run home up over the crest through the finish line. And big jump from Andrew Wright.
Some good hang time there for Andrew Wright as we move to the next competitor now. This is James Dixon, I think.
Yep, he's just through the Repco hairpin. Now work his way up towards that Hyundai hairpin. Look at that, hanging it out.
So 1 minute intervals for all of these competitors. There is a slight break. It might be a 2 minute interval between each class of vehicle. So once we've seen the third and final bike, we might have a slightly bigger gap.
So we'll keep you abreast of the results as they come to hand. If you want to keep an eye on them yourself, you can jump on chrissport.kiwi on your devices and follow the times as they become available. But at the moment we see James Dixon just head up towards the finish line.
Nicely through that final corner. Station.
And I'll tell you what, these bike guys are loving that jump, aren't they?
Absolutely. As we switch now to Andrew Rudd coming through the Repco hairpin. See the different lines. It's just a little bit wide. Boy, there's some drops on the outsides of some of these pieces of road. You don't want to disappear over the edge.
Right, second that.
Rudd.
So just
anecdotally down a little bit. I'm guessing there's a slightly bigger gap between he and Dixon than there was between the first two.
Just having a look scrolling through the results here, and
through the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin up towards where we're broadcasting from, the final corner, Ben Nevis Station hairpin. Difficult corner, some really hard, compact, almost like concrete on the inside, slightly softer on the outside as Rudd completes his final run of the day. It's good hang time as well.
Yeah, he has been the fastest of the bikes by quite some margin, some 5 seconds ahead of James Dixon, with Andrew Ryder further 10 seconds back in the runs to date. So looked like, as you say, a bit of a better run for Dixon this time though. So as those times come through, we will definitely keep you informed as to who's who in the zoo. So now we just get a slight break, just obviously a safety gap, especially with the between the bikes and the cars. But the next car we expect to see on the course will be the bright red Subaru Impreza of Tom Milliken.
Subaru H6.
Yeah.
A few of those cars popping up in New Zealand these days.
Yeah, great little class. It's largely run in the South Island. There's a few of them starting to pop up in the North Island, and also a few in the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship. Basically, your old style GC8 Subaru Impreza.
We'll take a quick break, BB, and be back very shortly with some live action with Milliken on the road in just a moment. Welcome back to the live stream coverage of the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200, as we are about to see the first of the traditional rally cars on stage. 3 bikes already, Blair?
Yep, so it'll be Tom Milliken, as we said, in the H6 Impreza. So the 3-litre 6-cylinder in there rather than the traditional 2-litre turbo. Just getting the thumbs up from the big boss there, so that's all good. Hopefully you're all enjoying it at home as well.
She is a very, very warm day. You can probably start to see some of the heat coming through on the camera shots as we pick up Milliken. Bright red Subaru.
Sitting 61st after the first 2 runs.
So you can see here we go from quite open, fast piece of road into some pretty tight hairpin stuff here.
So they just duck behind that rock there.
Should we refer to that as Stonehenge?
Yes, we can do that.
From now on.
You see the dust trail is Tom Milliken, and there's a left-hander here. You don't want to fall off the edge there. That's why that Armco barrier is there.
Tell you what, we're seeing Hayden Padden in the first 2 runs, like wafer thin close to that, and absolutely on the mark.
Oh, absolutely. His first run was actually surprisingly aggressive. Really tightened it up in the second run. He's obviously, probably as expected, the class of the field so far.
So Milliken here, his tidy run so far from what we've seen.
Just looking at the time so far, Andrew Rudd, 2:26.2, so that's a good step up from him. That's some 4 or 5 seconds faster than where he was previously.
So here is Milliken into the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. Up the hill towards us, starts to get a little bit steeper there.
Quite a nice sound from the 862, isn't it? You hear it screaming away.
Let's see what he's got at this final hairpin. Can be a bit tricky, almost sort of double apex, isn't it?
Yeah, and you want to... Interesting, he was running the inner line. There's a really hard stone base there with some big corrugations in it, so potentially a little bit easier on the car to be a little bit wider, but not necessarily the fastest way, as we see Willie Hawes. Now, Willie this morning started out with what can only be described as a huge wing.
It was huge. It didn't look like it was fixed in the car particularly well, it has to be said.
Yeah. It's fair to say it wasn't there for the second run, so it didn't fall off, but I think that they might have
realised that it wasn't probably going to stay there.
Yeah, but very cool to see the ST185 Celica out there. Of course, a car that won World Rally Championship in the hands of Didier Auriol.
Absolutely. Was that 1993?
93, yep.
Love the number plate too.
Yeah, silly car. Plenty of airtime there for the Celica, and see Willie through, and now we see Nigel Eade in the... How cool is this? We talk about old rally cars, the old camel throwback livery of Per Eklund back in the early 90s. Subaru Legacy.
Iconic looks in world rallying history, isn't it?
Absolutely. Nigel, he's been going all right. Just back that up with some facts.
So we see him head up towards the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
56 so far, dead equal with Deborah Kibble. So pretty impressive, both on a 2:48.8.
Nice and tight in there.
Absolutely. Great to see some of these old Group A style cars getting a bit of revival. The Otago Classic Rally and also the Group A Challenge as part of the New Zealand Rally Championship. Really giving these cars a home, because there's a lot of fond memories for a lot of spectators out there of these cars.
Absolutely. The iconic throaty sound of the Subaru powers away up to the flying finish. Him over the jump. Pretty tame, but good solid run from Nigel Eade. The time on him very shortly is...
We see this is Russell Burgess.
Burgie to his mates. He's got Burgie on the windscreen there.
Yep. Another one of the GC8s at present. We've seen Russell in all sorts of cars. Ford Escort of late, Toyota Celica before that. So cool to see some stuff coming out of his shed, and it sort of looks like a wing that might be off a Trevor Crowe special from back in the day. So I don't know the history of this car, I'll be honest, but could be some sort of relation in there. And
nice and tidy through that last corner. Just a little bit overcorrection.
It's using all the road, but that's what it's there for. You pay the entry fee, you get the old road, you might as well use it.
Flying finish for him.
Top 40s, we see Corey McCaskill. Currently sitting 46th with 2:42.7 as Corey, so we'll wait and see what his times come through. One of the real passionate supporters of rallying in New Zealand, right behind the likes of Hayden Padden and Matt Summerfield.
During the Five Stags livery too.
Yeah, he's a local Cromwell lad, Corey. So great to see him out. Local event, doing some skids.
Absolutely. Wish he's dry out there. There hasn't been a lot of rain in these parts for a while, Blair, but we don't think the dust has been much of an issue for visibility or anything like that.
No, there's enough of a breeze out there that it's clearing. How cool's the windscreen banner? Let's get dirty. I like that. But, no issues with dust. It is clearing pretty well. So great to see Corey up over the finish line. And of course, this is the final run for today. So everyone will be. I was just about to say everyone will be relieved. I didn't even get a chance to put the commentator's curse out there. This is Simon Taylor, and he's been pretty quick. He's been amongst the fastest of the Group 1 competitors. He's got to go
power there for a moment, but he seems to be away again. So You just pull off the road there, I think, too. Just to
Yeah, there's a couple of little access tracks that looks like possibly no.
So it would have been a punch-up or something, but no.
No.
Just lost power for a moment.
You're not quite sure
Great job from the camera crew to sort of go in close there and highlight that it's not a puncher.
Yeah. It looks.
He's back to speed now, so
He seems to be pushing on all right.
So, as you said, really impressive in the opening 2 runs. I think he was basically the quickest of these Group 1 competitors, both runs, if you exclude the cross carts, maybe. Cross cars, sorry.
Cross cars, yeah. There's a few of them, I think 14 of them here.
They've been quick, very, very quick. Some good drivers, some very good pedalers in there.
It sounds all right as it goes past our commentary position, so not quite sure what's happened there for Simon Taylor, but obviously he's had 2 strong runs, so that's important, and okay, this one's not ideal, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, and he'll still have a fairly solid position going into overnight.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of pushing the boundaries in the first couple of runs. You've got a little bit of wiggle room then on this last run. If you've sort of held it back and eased into it, your pressure's on to deliver in the final run, of course.
Correct. So this is Freddie Lustenberger, reliably informed. He lived in the same village in Switzerland as Michael Schumacher. So possibly not quite on Michael's pace this weekend, but great to see the old Leone out there. Don't see many of them these days. They were, of course, one of the pioneering four-wheel drive cars. Tended to run more in Group A rather than the Group B Audi Quattros, but they were certainly, of the era, very few four-wheel drive options around, and this was one of them.
The old Subaru colours. Slight different take on it.
Yeah, loose interpretation of the of the rules, but
might have faded over time.
Great to see Freddie out doing some skids, and he's very gentle up over the finish line, but it's another day complete for him.
So next competitor we should see is Terry Taylor, car number 62.
She's one of 4 female competitors.
Yeah, great to see females out there pushing the limits. Huge year with that. Emma Gilmore obviously flying the flag for New Zealanders and for women in particular. She's got a massive year ahead in that Extreme E Series.
Yep.
We wish her all the best.
Yeah, but also in the National Rally Championship, we see the likes of Amy Keeley out there, and plenty of women in the co-driver's seat as well.
Absolutely.
We've only got 2 hours on the live stream, so we couldn't possibly listing them all. But it's great to see more and more females participating in the sport. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be. And just have a look at her
time so far as she winds the way up the hill here towards where we are. Where the sun is out and warm here in central Otago.
She's sitting 65th at the moment on a 254.9, so we'll see if there's an improvement there.
It's been a nice tidy run from the parts that we've seen.
Yep.
Yeah, nicely through the apex.
As I understand it, another Cromwell local, so there's a few from down here getting into the home event, which is always good.
Nice corner for Terry. The wider line, but nicely done.
Gets the power down nice and smooth, and see what she does up over the flying finish. A nice bit of air. And you see Andrew Lowe. This is a car with plenty of history, most recently with Jeff Argold, but also the likes of Andrew Hawkswood, Mark Tapper. Jeff Argold previously, but it was a brand new Evo 7, so it's certainly got a few tales to tell over the year. Those of you that
it's had some success too when you list those names.
Oh, absolutely, plenty of success. I think probably one of the things that people might remember most about this car in 2003 Rally New Zealand, Mark Tapper managed to roll it down a bank, and his service crew did a great job basically pulling the whole back end of the car out by chaining it to their service truck and driving away, only to come across the flying finish of the final stage and find a Japanese competitor parked in the middle of the road. There's a big shunt up the back, and that was the end of that. So it was a bit of that car sort of had a bit of a rebuild after that, and ended up at the Hawkswood stable, and then going back to actually Andrew Lowe for Jeff Argold to use, and now great to see Andrew out using it, and he's up over the finish line. So I think his first event in the car was this event 2 years ago.
Nice effort from Andrew Lowe there. This will be Anthony Tito. Southern Lakes Nissan.
And great to see the little GTIRs out there. Very, very cool car. Potentially didn't quite fulfil the potential that they... he's a little bit wide through the through there as he works his way up to the Ben Nevis hairpin to finish the run. But certainly the likes of Chris Barnes, Kim Austin, Greg Todd, and Jeff Argyle, had plenty of success in these cars over the years in the 90s. So
finish. Anthony Tito.
This is Alistair Campbell, one of the Highlands members, and getting out and doing it the dirty way this time.
Just got that a little bit messy.
Yep, a little bit wide out of the Repco hairpin, and compromised his line through the left-hander. A bit tidier there. Got the windscreen wipers going. I don't quite think they're necessary today. I think the risk of rain is
not high, is it?
No, I think it's somewhere in the minuses.
Forecast is really good for tomorrow as well, so looking forward to another cracking day of action. We'll be on air again from 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Yep, for that final run, and that will be the one that counts. These guys can get away with not having an issue in this one, but there's no second chances tomorrow. It's that final run that counts. So this Alistair Campbell comes up and over the line. A decent amount of hang time there. I'll tell you some of the images we've seen. Oh, great to see Brendan Mitchell back out there too in the 1600. We saw him stop in his second run, recorded in DNF, so not quite sure what the issue was there. It was definitely mechanical.
Just see how much rutting there is in parts of some of these corners.
Yeah,
hard for the
corrugations. The surface is generally pretty packed, so we don't expect to see it to cut up. It will certainly. It's been sweeping as the day goes on, and obviously the times are getting faster and faster as the competitors familiarise themselves with the road. A lot of them not running with a passenger, so no pace notes. It's just all done on memory. You see, Brendan is carrying a passenger, and he's a real hard charger in the Datsun 1600 as he heads up to the Ben Nevis hairpin.
Some tidy through there.
Yeah, just using the old motocross berm on the exit there to straighten the car up. He heads up towards that final jump. Nicely done. So, expect to see a bit of improvement. So,
it's a good time. Especially coming down the wide as Deborah. Serving competitor. Plenty of success in various categories.
Still the only female New Zealand rally champion when she won the Group N title in 2001. Evo 6.
There's a lot of the South Island rounds these days. Doesn't generally head north.
No. She's sort of done her national stuff, and now she's focusing on club rallying and having a great time. Her and Heather, her co-driver, the Coxless pair they call themselves.
Iconic number plate too.
Yeah, Tommy too.
She was another one that had some car troubles earlier in the day, but
I think she just stopped for the car in front that had.
Apologies.
Yeah,
that's right.
But, we'll see what time Deb lays down. So far, it's actually Mike's the big run. Andrew Rudd still holding the top spot on a 226.2. So we see Gordon Beebe. If it changes for Gordon, we'll see him in the Datsun 120 wide. The BMW E30 now, so possibly a little bit too shiny to be getting dirty, but he's out there doing it anyway. This will keep Kane Barry happy. He's a bit of a BMW tragic. But, great little platform, these E30s. You see a lot of them in circuit racing, and great to see one on the gravel as he works his way up towards the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
So yeah, absolutely the bikes the quickest. Andrew Rudd, James Dixon. Woody Hawes, first of the cars so far with the 235 flat in the Toyota Celica.
Just to put that in perspective, that's
25 seconds behind Hayden's time. Great class, similar to rivals.
So that 2:35 is a good time. It puts him 31st equal with Stu Weber, who we'll see soon in the Xbox present. Stu runs 10 so far. But obviously we've got a lot of our front-running vehicles still to come as we see Jeff Judd and the Magnum Escort.
That's what a servant to New Zealand rallying Jeff Judd has been.
Absolutely.
Both sides of the car as he makes his way up to the final corner. He'll be there or thereabouts, I'm sure, when tomorrow rolls around.
Just listen to that whole base scream in the Escort.
Nicely done from Jeff Judd. See him shaking his head. Harry, his son, competing as well. We'll see him shortly. Is John Silcock now, another...
And his son Harry's competing too in one of the cross cars. They won't get confusing in a hurry as we see John get into the Repco hairpin. The beautiful group we are in the National Historic Championship winning car, that one.
It was great to see him back in the National Championship last year too. Had some health concerns, but great to see him back competing, and you sort of feel for him. He had some performances that were there, and results perhaps didn't go the way that he would have liked, but he did all the hard work. And
yeah, a couple of small problems that you wouldn't foresee. That one was a broken bolt in the rear suspension that put him out, and a seal in the gearbox that filled the car up with smoke. So really, but that's the thing with rallying, is that you can do all the big bits, and the smallest little part can let you down. It can be a cruel game.
Certainly can. I don't think there'd be too many people disappointed to see him have a good campaign in 2022. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and what a great way for him to kick it off and finish. And great, looked like a pretty clean run there from John. He's a good, consistent competitor, and we'll get those times as soon as they come through. Team at Chris Sport with Rally Safe doing a great job, but we expect to see that time of Jeff Judd's to be somewhere near the top as well. As we see Jilly Fisher.
Is that blue or purple?
I'd call that blue.
From the distance it looks purple. Admittedly, as it gets closer I have to yield and say first glance it looks purplish.
A bit of an ongoing conversation today there, folks.
You've seen this car a couple of times, because it's a husband and wife team.
Yeah.
And there's a duel at the moment.
Both sharing the car. Normally Jilly would be co-driving for Adam, so great to see them both having a steer. So Jeff Judd's time through at 2:37.3. So that time of Andrew Rudd's is pretty impressive.
Time, yeah.
He's really laid it down when it counts on the first day.
So we've certainly seen cross cars have been very, very quick today, featuring a number of them featuring in the top 10, and now bikes as well. That time will take some beating for some of those other competitors in and around the top 10. As we see Jilly make her way up to the final corner now.
Plenty of history in that style. It's been around for quite a few years now. Won the Class A in the Top Half Rally Championship back when that was a big deal back in the day, the early 2000s.
That's the best seat in the house there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how Jack Smith managed to get himself in there and us back here, but we see Mauro Belzerini, the Toyota Sprinter. He's a great little car. We have seen the drive cars just straight in this section. The lower power and there, trying to get the traction out. It's just eats the time, and obviously carrying speed for these guys is so important. Every kilometre an hour you wash off is a kilometre an hour you've got to gain back when your traction compromised.
Nice job so far from Belzerini here.
Just bounces his way through the apex.
To that Hyundai hairpin, New Zealand hairpin, and up towards us.
Car formerly campaigned by both Nick and Josh Marston. They're a great cost-effective platform, these cars. Great way to get into rallying.
So midway through this first group of cars.
Narrow up over the finish. Then we see Adrian Jones in the little FX GT Corolla. Just tucks it in through there, and
Oh, that's hard, isn't it?
yeah, just struggling their way out of the left-hander after the Repco hairpin. Work their way up towards Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. And, Adrian's been having a solid, consistent day. Just check those times. Sitting down 74th, so a little bit of time to find. 306.4 to date.
See if we can go any better on this third run. To the final corner now. Ben Nevis station hairpin.
He'll be hunting down that 3-minute barrier. Looked like a good tidy run.
Nicely done.
Still that time of Andrew Rudd standing. So we now see Willie Shortis. The Corolla, very cool old cars.
You know the history behind that one?
It was built by Toyota back in the 80s.
Well done.
And
Voice of rallying.
it was driven off the production line, and at some point it was turned into a rally car. And it's here today, which is fantastic. It's a great event here, the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200. So as you can tell, yes, I do know the history right from day dot of that vehicle, which was on a day back in the early 1980s.
Really Shortest completes his third final run for the day.
Yep.
Thanks, another solid time.
And he's just inside the top 70 with the Corolla. So we see Caleb McDonald, the little high-revving Mitsubishi Mirage, certainly asks everything of it. But, he works his way through the Repco hairpin. Through the left-hander. Potentially a little bit, yeah, I think he's got a problem there.
It doesn't look like it's at full noise, does it?
No. Normally you'd see a bit more wheel spin from the front tyres, and yeah, I think he's backed it off, so that's a real shame. He's been pretty impressive today.
He certainly tried a lot harder. He was throwing the car around a little bit more in the first two runs, so...
Yeah, sitting 56 just behind Richard Yallop in the cross car and ahead of Nigel Eade in the Subaru Legacy, or equal with... Well, he'd set a time that was equal with Nigel's third run, so we expected some improvement, but obviously there's an issue with the car.
Let's see if we can hear anything here as it comes up past us.
But again, he'll get away with that because he's banked a solid time earlier in the day.
Absolutely.
And he will creep it up over the line.
Just. There's plenty of time to figure out what was wrong with it and try and resolve the issue. So car 48 and Garrick.
Yep. And he's going to be hard on the heels of Caleb McDonald there.
So the helicopter's back again behind us.
Yep. They must be coming to pick us up, I think. Let's see, this is Scott Paul, one of the father and son combinations out there this weekend. We'll see his son Thomas very shortly in the Honda Civic, but this is the
line of stern almost, aren't they?
Yeah, yep. So this is the four-door Ford Escort, which is not the variety we normally see as a rally car. But great to see it out there. I know at one point this car had a 2-litre Nissan motor in it. Actually, this car in the Silver Fern Rally, I think back in 2006, managed to find itself in a stream. And they spent a day drying out the computer and got it back running again. So it's a little bit like the Phoenix, pretty hard to keep down.
Still carrying the Silver Fern banner at the top of the windshield.
Yep.
Nice tidy job.
Yeah.
Paul. is live coverage of the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200 as we get towards the end of the first group of cars in this final run for Saturday. There'll be a pause. The cars that you've seen will all make their way back down to the start line for some of the cross-kart competitors. Will hand the car over to their co-driver, for want of a better term, and then, or their co-leased car, or whatever you want to call it, and then we'll see the second run, and that'll include some of the big guns as we work our way towards Hayden Padden, the host of the event. Bit of a hat tip to Hayden and his crew for everything they've done. A lot of work goes into this. It's not like he's had a quiet week. He had a pretty big week with the announcement earlier.
That fantastic announcement that we'll see him in at least 2 or 3 rounds of the World Rally Championship this year in a Kiwi run team, as we see Thomas called out, so son of Scott, who we saw before. This is the Honda Civic. Again, a great little package, these Honda Civics, and built pretty tough from the factory. You don't need to do much to them. Get out there and have some good fun as he works his way up towards that Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
Bouncing around the corner there as we come up to the second of these hairpins. 3 of them in total, one after the other.
Crikey, I thought that photographer was about to get run over there for a second. It's a bit of an optical illusion.
Around corner now.
Yeah, just a case of getting that power down nice and smooth, which he's done, and up towards the finish line.
It's a nice tidy run from Paul.
Let's just see what's happening there in the far side battle. So far, this is going the way of St. Thomas. So we see Ian Warren, and he's a real hard charger in the 1600 class. I think he was 1600 winner at Lawrence Rally at the end of last year, and that's a pretty toughly contested category in the mainland sort of series. So Ian Warren, Pulsar's deceptively quick, but he carries a lot of corner speed. Very straight, very smooth. The idea, this road doesn't loop around, so they have to come back down in reverse direction, which you obviously need to control pretty hard. So it's the top's good. For me, this is one of the contenders for the best presented cars here.
Sensational, doesn't it?
Beautiful little Mark 1 Escort.
Needs the blue wheels. It needs the blue that Wayne Pittham's at.
Oh, geez, big cool. No, the gold wheels, I think it's
You
stunning.
like the gold?
Yep. Sort of a bling budget.
Yeah, it is a beautifully presented car, that is for sure.
Had a few issues with selecting gears, but looking pretty tidy. Oh, chucks it into the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. He's on a bit of a charge here, so I think we can expect to see a bit of an improvement up the leaderboard for Thomas Good.
It's a little wide there, but no dramas. One corner to go for Thomas Good. He's certainly trying.
Giving it the big revs past us. Yeah, uses
Nice
that
job.
motocross boom there. Possibly a little bit more than he'd like, but sounds like the fans give him the thumbs up. A good dose of airtime there from the Mark 1 Escort.
I think that'll bring him forward a little bit.
Yeah, currently sitting 61st, but I would expect to see that that time to be beaten. He was sitting on... where is he? I've lost him now. Too many buttons to push, Budgie. Not enough brain cells to operate them all. He was 61st, wasn't he? I told everyone else that. I should have listened. He was sitting on a 2:49.4, and I suspect that we will see that time improve as we get into the cross cars.
That's the first of the cross cars in this section.
That's Nicholas Deloislo. Been trying to figure this one out all day.
Also, it's hard to read on the screen, isn't it?
It is. Oh, he's a little bit wide to the right-hander there. We saw him have an issue in the... I don't think he's had a clean run so far today.
Let's see if this is...
One thing that's fantastic with the cross cars, it really shows you how much the suspension works. You don't see it when they're under the guards, but obviously with the open wheel format of them, you can see just how much work to keep the car level. Great fun little cars, these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Motorbike engine in the back, they absolutely scream.
Now this counts for part of their national championship too, doesn't it?
Correct, so both days count. So effectively they've got 2 rounds. So he's well wide there. Oh, right out in the bank.
Just gathers it up.
Crikey.
Correcting it all the way down the straight there too was Nicholas.
Yeah, so as we were saying, today counts. Your best run today counts. You get points for that. Tomorrow, your best... Oh, he's right out wide again. Jeez, I thought he was going to come join us at the commentary box there for a second, Budgie. Bit of a scrappy run for Nick, but he's through the finish line. He'll be relieved to finish that one. You see Richard Yellop. Oh, and he spun. Oh, now these things are interesting because they're a motorbike gearbox, sequential. Trying to get reverse can be tricky.
So this is the car shared with Ari Pettigrew, isn't it?
Yes, this is the one.
Oh, the Ari on top, probably.
The Ari,
weight,
yep.
He's trying to be clever.
Yeah, I don't know if he can get reverse here, so
this could be an issue. We have seen a red flag already once on one of the runs, just to ensure that safety is obviously.
Yeah, because we see the next car coming through, which is Sean Haggerty, so he'll get turned round and.
Oh, now Sean Haggerty's been stopped, so it has been red flagged. There you go. You can see the marshal holding a red flag there. So Sean Haggerty has pulled up. He will probably make his way back down to the start line, and he will have another go, of course.
Richard Yellop will lose his run there, but while this gets cleaned up, we'll head to a quick commercial break and we'll be back on the other side.
They created some more, Whitley not happy. Time out I have to dance, but this is a very accomplished field, and even the youngsters have risen their game.
Jeppo gets out there pretty clean.
Wide open, runs Stuart Robinson, but lucky no. But let's get watching the battle while we can.
It's the champion.
Chris Simon leads. Zach Winko now up at the third as Rome McConkie drops down. Close as that.
This is a very accomplished field. Oh no! Whitley!
And welcome back to live coverage of the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200 for 2022, the second time we have had this event. Dale Budge and Blair Bartels with the commentary. Blair, it's, when you're in that position where you've had your run stopped, as Sean Haggerty, easy enough to switch off, get back to the start and press go again?
Someone like Sean's a pretty unflappable sort of a character, but it certainly can mess with you. It takes a lot to psych yourself up in a format like this where it's short, sharp, and you've got to perform right from... It's not like a 40k rally stage where you can ease your way into it. You've got to be on it from the go. So, I think for Sean it'll be all right. He gets a little bit of a chance to work his way back into it as we see... this will be Ben McLaren.
So Sean will get a minute to compose himself, having got back down to the start line.
Yep.
McLaren.
Yes, and Ben, we've seen his father around Hillclimbs a lot too. Don McLaren is a real character at South Island Motorsport. Ben, very, very talented in a grass kart, and now we see him in the cross car as well, and he's been pretty impressive all day. So, yeah, when we go through and look through the results, he's not far outside that. Yeah, he's just on the edge of the top 15, sitting 16th, just behind Joe Quantock. So the cross car battle's very, very tight.
Nice job so far. This has been a good run from young McLaren.
Beautiful and tidy out of there, using every bit of road available and nothing more.
This will be an interesting time to finish his final run of Saturday. Pick up Sean Haggerty. Crack at this one. Last one just had to be paused, obviously, with the red flag.
There was a point where he was sitting 3rd and 4th overall. Sitting 12th in the cross car. He's also sitting 8th in the Impreza, which we'll see a bit later on.
Proud Scotsman. You can see the Scottish flag on the roof of the cross car there.
Oh, he's right out wide there. Probably scrubbing off a little bit more speed than optimal as he gets the wheels out and the loose stuff in again there. Using the bank as a bit of a berm.
Certainly can't accuse him of not trying, that is for sure, Sean Haggerty.
No, there's no lack of bravery. Big flick into the Ben Nevis hairpin. Oh, right out wide, in the bit of the soft stuff. Spectacular. I don't know if it's going to be super fast, but it's certainly spectacular as he comes up and over the straight finish. Huge air.
Entertaining drive from Sean Haggerty. Let's move to another one of...
And is this Ben Huben? Just give us a second, ladies and gentlemen, to pick our numbers there. As we see, car 41. This is Ben McLaren, so not quite sure. We saw Ben Huben before and called him Ben McLaren, so that's our first little faux pas for the day, Budgie. Well,
probably won't be the first.
My first, your second, because I can tell blue from purple.
Maybe I'm colourblind.
All right, so we see Ben McLaren. He's working his way up, sharing this car with Darcy Prendergast, who's normally seen on a quad bike. Just listen to the way those things scream. The revs are seriously impressive.
They certainly are. Times at the moment for you on those cars.
So far, that Sean Haggerty at 227.1 is the best of them. Ben Huben at 231.1. So that time of Andrew Rudd's is really stacking up. He's given it everything on that last run today, and he's going to see dividends from that.
So he's just under a second quicker than Haggerty on this run.
So I think this might be young Harry Judd, is it? Car 30.
Oh! He just bites off a little bit too much there. The apex jumps up over it.
Sharing this kart with Ollie Ward. Oh, big understeer there for Harry. So just perhaps getting a little bit ragged, trying to make up time.
Certainly plenty of talent there with Harry Judd.
Absolutely, and of course we've seen Father Jeff in the Escort too. There's certainly more talent in that family than mine. Harry up to the line, but I don't think this is going to be a super competitive. Plenty of air over the jump, but a little bit ragged. As we see. Yes, this is the last of our cars in Group 1. Joe Quantock. We used to, of course, Joe was 3rd overall here in the inaugural running back in 2020. The amazing year that was. I don't think we quite knew when we were here what was going to hit us from there. But Job was third in the Skoda. We see his father Dave running that this year, and Job's in the cross car for I believe the first time. He's certainly getting the hang of it.
He's getting better and better too. Was better on his second run than the first, and by a number of seconds, and expect this to be pushing again. Certainly a big talent, Job Quantock. Probably doing as much rallying as I think fans would like to see him do. Probably other priorities at this stage of his life, but talent is there. Hopefully we can see him rallying.
Yeah, well, it's a big family battle there because he's only 0.2 of a second behind Dad in the Skoda. So we will see how that one plays out over this third and final run as to who gets family bragging rights for today.
So we thought that might have been the end of the first group here, but I can see another car on track, or vehicle on track. Or is that the sweeper coming through? It might be the sweeper coming through now to tell us that Group 1 is done and dusted. I think that is the case.
Yep. Okay, so we might, while we have the break, we'll have a bit of a look at what this event's all about.
We're here testing the 84 ahead of the Golden 1200, and of course really looking forward to the event. Every time we get to put this big motor in the car and the big wings, it's probably the most exciting car I drive. It's a lot of fun, and today's really just a chance to go through the system to make sure everything's working. We obviously run the car in this spec only once a year, maybe twice, and it's obviously been over 12 months since we had this motor, so chance to fine tune, just iron out any little gremlins and make sure once we get to the event we're ready to go. But yeah, as I say, with this one you got to tighten the belts a little bit more, and you just got to grin from ear to ear as you're heading up the hill. Yeah, obviously we're really looking forward to the second running of the event. There's been a lot of work going by the whole team to make the event happen, and obviously a lot more complications with COVID. We haven't probably been able to quite put together an event that we would have liked in terms of having lots of spectators and a really great spectacle and a great show. But in saying that, I think it's vital that the event's still going ahead. So it's awesome to see a full field of 80 competitors, live stream, a lot of things that we had in place that we've still been able to follow through on, and I think we're still going to have a great spectacle. So it's awesome to have the event still going. We're looking forward to a good weekend. I'm sure the competitors will love it, and this is, I guess, starting the history of the event to carry on into the long term, into the future. Yeah, I think we've still got a good field. Unfortunately, we're going to be missing a few of the North Island competitors, but it's still anyone's game. The way the results are formatted is that it actually takes 2 of your runs, and it's your last run on Sunday that is part of that. You don't get a second chance. So it puts a lot of pressure on, and it means that the result is not actually final to that last run. And I think it's anybody's game. Fitchy on the quad's always very fast. We've got, I think, the most cross cars we've ever seen on an event in New Zealand. I think we've got 16. Cross cars are always very fast. And then, of course, we've got up to 10 open class four-wheel drive cars. So it's anyone's game, but not only overall, but I think within all the classes. I think every class is going to be close fought, and that's what we want to see. We want to see close battles, and we want it to go right down to the wire on Sunday.
station.
And I'll tell you what, these bike guys are loving that jump, aren't they?
Absolutely, as we switch now to Andrew Rudd coming through the Retco hairpin. See the different lines is just a little bit anecdotally down a little bit. I'm guessing there's a slightly bigger gap between he and Dixon than was between the first two.
Just having a look through scrolling through the results here, and
some really hard, compact, almost like concrete on the inside, slightly softer on the outside as Rudd completes his final run of the day. It's a hang time as well.
Yeah, and you want to. Interesting. He was running the inner line. There's a really hard stone base there with some big corrugations in it, so potentially a little bit easier on the car to be a little bit.
Wasn't probably going to stay there.
Yeah, but very cool to see the ST185 Celica out there. Of course, a car that won World Rally Championship in the hands of Didier Auriol.
Absolutely. Was that 1993?
93, yep.
Love the number plate too.
Yeah, silly car. Plenty of the old Camel throwback livery of Per Eklund back in the early 90s. Subaru Legacy.
Iconic looks in world rallying history, isn't it?
Absolutely. Nigel, he's been going all right. Just another one of the GC8s at present. We've seen Russell in all sorts of cars. Ford Escort of late, Toyota Celica before that. So cool to see some stuff coming out of his shed, and it sort of looks like a wing that might be off a Trevor Crowe special from back in the day. So Hayden Padden and Matt Summerfield.
During the Five Stags livery too.
Yeah, he's a local Cromwell lad, Corey. So great to see him out. Local event, doing some skids.
Absolutely. Wish it's dry out there. There hasn't been a lot of rain in these parts for a while, Blair, but we don't think the dust has been much of an issue for visibility or anything like that.
Calls the windscreen banner, let's get dirty. I like that. But yeah, no issues with dust. It is clearing pretty well, so great to see Corey up over the finish line and have a fairly solid position going into overnight.
Yeah, that's the beauty of pushing the boundaries in the first couple of runs. You've got a little bit of wiggle room then on this last run. If you've sort of held it back and eased into it, your pressure's on to deliver in the final run, of course.
Correct. So this is Freddie Lustenberger, reliably informed there, and plenty of women in the co-driver's seat as well.
Absolutely.
We've only got 2 hours on the live stream, so we couldn't possibly listing them all. But yeah, it's great to see more and more females participating in the sport. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be. And just have a look at the moment on a 254.9, so we'll see if there's an improvement there.
It's been a nice tidy run from the parts that we've seen.
Yep.
Yeah, nicely through the apex.
So I understand it. Another Cromwell local, so there's a few from down here getting into the home event, which is always sort of had a bit of a rebuild after that and ended up at the Hawkswood stable and then going back to actually Andrew Lowe for Jeff Argyle to use it. Now great to see Andrew out using it, and he's up over the finish. See the little GTIRs out there, very, very cool car. Potentially didn't quite fulfill the potential that they... he's a little bit wide through through there as he works his way up to the Ben Nevis hairpin to finish the run, but certain and compromised his line through the left-hander, a bit tidier there. Got the windscreen wipers going. I don't quite think they're necessary today. I think the risk of rain is
not high, is it?
No, I think it's somewhere in the minuses.
Forecast is really good for tomorrow as well, so looking forward to another cracking day of action. We'll be on air 1600. We saw him stop in his second run, recorded in DNF, so not quite sure what the issue was there. Doesn't generally head north?
No, she's sort of done her national stuff, and now she's focusing on club rallying and having a great time, her and Heather, her co-driver, the Coxless pair.
25 seconds behind Hayden Padden's time. Great class. Some of the rivals.
So that 235 is good. We see Jeff Judd in the Magnum Escort.
That's what a servant to New Zealand rallying Jeff Judd has been.
Absolutely.
Both sides of the car he would have liked, but he did all the hard work. And
yeah, a couple of small problems that you wouldn't foresee. That one was a broken bolt in the rear suspension that put him out. And and a seal in the gearbox that filled the car up with smoke. So really, but that's the thing with rallying, is that you can do all the big bits and the smallest little part can lead.
Yeah.
He's really laid it down when it counts on the first day.
So we've certainly seen cross cars have been very, very quick today, featuring a number of them featuring in the top 10. And now
back here, but we see Mauro Belzerini, the Toyota Sprinter. Here's a great little car. We have seen them cars just straight in this section, the lower power, and there, trying to get the traction out. It's day dot of that vehicle, which was on a day back in the early 1980s.
really sure this completes his third line of the day.
Yep.
So the helicopter's back again behind us.
Yep. They must be coming to pick us up, I think. Very shortly in the Honda Civic, but this is the
line of stern almost, aren't they?
Yeah, yep. So this is the four-door Ford Escort, which is not the variety we normally see as a rally car. But again, a great little package, these Honda Civics, and built pretty tough from the factory. You don't need to do much to them. Get out there and have some good fun. As he works his way up towards that Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
Bouncing around the corner there as we come up to the second of these hairpins. 3 of them in total.
So we see Ian Warren, and he's a real hard charger in the 1600 class. I think, of course, the idea, this road doesn't loop around, so they have to come back down. Sort of a bling budget.
Yeah, it is a beautifully presented car, that is for sure.
Had a few issues with selecting gears, but looking pretty tidy. Chucks it into the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. He's on a bit of a charge here, so I think we can expect to see a bit of an improvement. Oh, he's a little bit wide to the right hander there. We saw him have an issue in the. Yeah, I don't think he's had a clean run so far today.
Let's see if this is.
One thing that's fantastic in the cross cars, it really shows you how much the suspension works. You don't see it when they're under the guards. Points for that. Tomorrow, your best. Oh, he's right out wide again. Jeez, I thought he was going to come join us at the commentary box there for a second, Budgie. Bit of a scrappy run for Nick, but he's through the finish line. He'll be. Oh, and he spun. Oh, now these things are interesting because they're a motorbike gearbox, sequential, trying to get reversed.
And welcome back to live coverage of the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200. See some highlights from the first group of cars that have traversed this 3.6 kilometre long stage. Lee Bartels, nice to have your company, mate. Let's run through the results, the times from the first section of cars. This is the first half of the field. The quicker cars, the more powerful cars to come in this second session shortly. But Job Quantock, the star of the show, yeah?
Absolutely great run from Job, and he's really laid down the marker for the cross-cart boys. We'll see another 7 of them in this second section. But Andrew Rudd, for me, the big improver in the second run on the bike, 2:26.2. Puts him just outside the top 10 overall, albeit we have got a lot of those faster cars still to come. But Job now jumps up to 7th.
Yeah, Sean Haggerty very quick too in the cross car. We're going to see him in his Subaru as well a little bit later on in this next session. But Sean very quick. Ben McLaren, Harry Judd and Ben Hubin all in cross cars. So what have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 7 all in cross cars so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when you look at where that slots them in, as I said, Job in 7th. Andrew Rudd currently in the 10. He's 10th. Sean Haggerty jumps up to 12th.
In the cross car. So obviously a lot of those competitors in that top 10 are to come in this next group. So this is the faster part of the field, or the more powerful part of the field. So we can see way down in the distance, down towards the start, and Hayden Padden will be the star of the show. He will be the last car that we see in action. It's reverse order. Talk us through what you're looking forward to seeing in the second group, BB.
Absolutely. I think the likes of Neil Webb, I think he's still yet to fire a shot at their second seed. Mike Tall, he's currently 4th, so he's right on that cusp of a podium spot overnight. Mike Wellington's not far behind him. Sean Haggerty's been quick. Dave Quantock, we saw him have dramas in the first run, down to 2-wheel drive. The Skoda was back to 4-wheel drive for that run. but effectively that was his first angry run. So, you know, and as we said, that's a big battle between him and Joe going into this run. So we'll see what the family honours look like there. You know, we've still got Stu Weber to come in the ex-Possum Born car, and he drives that car so spectacularly. It looks right. Well, it is right. It's the real deal. It sounds the real deal. It's spectacular. And what about the Mitsubishi Starion Graham Shearing, which is the one that Kim Austin used to set the record for so long at Ashley Forest, the V8 Starion.
That sounds amazing through these valleys, the hills in the background, and the way the noise sort of bounces off them. It is spectacular. Looking forward to seeing all that coming up in the next few moments. So just waiting for the second group to get underway. We'll get the call very shortly, but a little word here on Hayden Padden and his team putting this event together. As we said before, it's been a huge week for him. Confirmed they'll go back into the WRC, competing in WRC2 next year and in a full season. And we will try and show you a little bit of footage from the air just to give you a fair indication of just what this terrain it looks like. Absolutely stunning footage from last year, so the last running of this event in 2020. Of course, the following week was when the country got plunged into lockdown for the very first time, Blair Bartel. So it feels like in a weird sort of way, maybe we've come full circle. 2 years of interruptions with COVID, and this event's sort of the last one as hopefully we start to transition out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that this one's not open to spectators like it was 2 years ago, but it's great to have some VIPs here, and it's just such a spectacular place. At least, hey, you can check it all out on the live stream. Obviously, if you are, tell your mates. But I mean, it's been a weird old couple of years, and it's fantastic to be back here and sort of hopefully moving towards a slightly more normal world. I mean, there's a lot of things to be excited about in motorsport land this year.
Absolutely.
Very, at the end of the year, we've got the World Rally Championship returning to New Zealand for the first time in 10 years, and that is going to be massive.
Yeah, the New Zealand National Championship, the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship, getting underway in about a month's time. Rally Otago, not too far from here. And a lot of the competitors that are in action this weekend will be taking part, including Hayden Padden. We just saw a shot a moment ago of the cars getting towards the start line, so we're going to be underway with live action very shortly as we look forward to those competitors on screen there taking part in what will be their final run for the day, looking to either improve their times or push the envelope a little bit. You know, let's assess Hayden to start with. So what did he do first up? I think he was a couple of seconds quicker his second run than he was through his first. We had a very small moment where he might have lost a second or two at this last corner on his opening run, but quicker by a couple of seconds in the second one.
Yeah, obviously I'm very well qualified to comment on Hayden's driving, you know, being a world champion myself, in absolute garbage. He, I think it's fair to say, a bit scrappy in that first run. He really tidied up in that second run, gained a couple of seconds. Obviously, you know, he knows this road like the back of his hand. He's been up over here and graders and trucks and all sorts of carry on, getting this event organised. And you know, Ben Nevis Station is a partner of his, so he's been over here plenty of times in meetings and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit hard to compare. And I mean, he's a world class driver.
Only driver in the history of the World Rally Championship from the Southern Hemisphere to win a WRC event.
Yep. But we shouldn't be too far away from seeing Matt Shand in the Mazda Neo.
There he is. We can see the dust and Matt Shand on track. So underway with this final group, the second group of two.
Turbocharged little Mazda. So these are the open two-wheel drive cars. We then go from there into the rally four-wheel drive cars. Some great cars in there. You know, we talked about Stu Weber, also you know, Jeff Ward and the ex-Richard Mason car, which I believe is still the most successful car in the history of the New Zealand Rally Championship.
As we pick up Shand now coming up towards the top part of the stage. So he winds up to now what becomes the tighter part. We'll see some of these switchbacks starting with the Ripco hairpin.
And again, this is where, you know, being front-wheel drive, this car does just lose out a little bit getting out of these tight corners like the Ripco hairpin.
Just see there, it's a lot steeper than it perhaps looks on camera. Trying to get the power down with a reasonably steep gradient, two-wheel drive.
Not quite as wide as some of those cross-cuts. We saw a couple of those guys right out in that bank there, so it's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. See him work his way up to the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
Nice job so far.
Yeah,
nice
that was beautiful and smooth through there. Get that power down, get up towards the Ben Nevis hairpin. Final corner. And of course the exit out of here, so important for that run down to the finish in that spectacular jump. A great addition for the 2022 edition, Dale.
Absolutely. Yeah, it certainly has been. And seeing some stunning photography from up there. Cars, all four wheels off the ground, and some of them with some serious hang time.
It's a nice little jump from Matt Shand there as we now hear the... it's a bit of an interesting combination, this one. The Mazda RX-7 of Steve Taylor. This has got a H6 Subaru motor, so we saw Tom Milliken with one in the Subaru, which is becoming quite a common conversion. Can't say the same for seeing them in an RX-7. That's probably a little bit unique, but
It certainly is.
you know, this is the beauty of an event like this, is you can bring just about anything. You can come up with the wildest combination, and if you can make it fit and put a roll cage in it, well, good on you, bring it on.
Yeah, it must be said there are a number of drivers that would have been here. COVID obviously playing a significant role. So
Yeah,
you know, the fact that this has been such a stunning event so far, I'm sure it's going to become something that will be part of the motorsport landscape for years to come, and hopefully it just gets.
how cool is this to see the old Ford Capri? This is Steve Gray. Surprised he hasn't cracked the sunroof. She's pretty warm out there today. I
It's
think
warm.
any ventilation will be a good thing.
no.
I have a feeling it sounded like it just free revved there a bit, and I suspect possibly an issue. He's got it going again, so it might have broken a gear in the gearbox or something like that, David. Possibly. He might have just missed a gear completely too, and I might not know what I'm talking about. That's possibly as likely as anything else out there.
Quite possibly. I've seen a couple of cars there almost at that same spot, so I just don't know if there's something about it that
Yeah, there's
people are missing gears or...
A couple of corrugations in there, and as we talked about it, this final corner here, the Ben Nevis one, you know, there's some really hard packed stone in there, and if you load up the drivetrain too much, you've got to be a little bit careful. Steve Gray right out wide there, got the entry a little bit wrong, and big understeer on the way in the soft stuff. So I don't think this will be his best run of the day, unfortunately.
Takes it pretty easy.
Yeah.
The finish as well. I think he realises that that one probably isn't going to improve things too much, as we see Wayne Pittams. There are the rims that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely, Wayne, great job. One thing that amazes me, this car, the Millington engine, so it's a bespoke motorsport engine, not a factory produced engine like the BDA Escorts, and over 300 horsepower. Put it bluntly, fantastic engine, sounds superb. But the way that this particular car puts its power down is very, very impressive.
He's been a regular in the Grand Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship over the years, Wayne Pittams.
So just watch him get himself out of this corner and just puts that power down. There's a lot of power to be. Well, he makes a bit of a liar out of me there. A little bit of a moment as he comes out of the final corner and up towards the flying finish. But why does that always happen to me, Budgie?
As we see Chris Hay now.
Hey, it's Chris Hay.
The MR2.
Yeah, the Nissan turbo motor in the middle, inspired by the Lancia 037. And wings for Africa on this one. Certainly, I believe the defending two-wheel drive Hillclimb champion of New Zealand. Bit of redemption, having had a mechanical failure that put him out of this event 2 years ago. So he will be right up there amongst the fastest two-wheel drive competitors. In fact, let's try and back that up with some facts, Budgie?
Nicely through the final corner does Chris Hay up towards the finish line.
You can be deceptively fast, Chris.
We'll get some times for you in just a moment as we see the next competitor. I think this will be Adam Fisher.
Yep.
So this is the husband of Julie, who we saw in the opening run, same car.
So Chris was
the blue purplish. Shall we say colour?
Yes, Chris was fastest in the two-wheel drive cars going into his run with the 237. So far we haven't. Jeff Judd got close to that. It is 37.3 in the third run. So chances are we will see Chris Hay lead the two-wheel drive rally cars overnight.
Fisher now.
That puts the time of Ian Warren into perspective at a 2:38 from a 1600cc front-wheel drive car. That's pretty impressive.
Certainly is.
So yeah, Adam Fisher, great to see. So this car's done 6 runs up the hill today, so that's double the workload. Is Adam just a little bit understeer on the way in there. Straightens out the exit. And he's up towards the flying finish. We saw Gilly a little bit cautious over the jump. What's Adam's approach going to be? And not quite so cautious.
Yeah, a little more aggressive. Might be a little gap here as we move from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, I think.
Yeah, I think you could be right. As we
might be cross cars actually.
I think we've had a little reshuffle of the running order, so I think the next car we expect to see is Jasara Cockshawn in the Evo 5.
Had to come past Stonehenge, so I've decided to dub that. Not really sure why. Doesn't look anything like Stonehenge, but
it's a stone.
It's a cluster of rocks. So we look down from the Ripco hairpin vantage point back towards the start. That is
Sarah. Yep.
Cockshawn.
Yep.
From the west coast.
Very keen competitor, and also helps out a lot in the Westland Car Club, organising events and the like. So one of those sports that's largely volunteer based, and it's great to see competitors giving back to help it all make it all happen.
Nice tidy run so far from Jasara.
Yep. So she works her way up towards that Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. You see the more modern cars with slightly better shock packages and stuff just absorb those bumps that much more compared to the older cars. As we get into the likes of the AP4 cars that we see here, Duncan McCrosty, Dave Quantock and the AP4 Plus Hayden Padden, the way the shock absorbers work, they just flatten out. They'll have no idea that those corrugations exist. And she's absolutely flat up over the jump.
Good job.
So we see Paul Beattie. Evo 8. Paul's been ticking along quite nicely.
Just runs a little wide there.
Oh, yeah.
Ends up really cutting that left-hander.
Really compromises you run out of there, and it's a big uphill climb. Even in the four-wheel drive cars, that momentum is key.
Easy. This really orange Mitsubishi.
It's a battle of the red cars. He's just in behind Tom Milliken, who we saw first of the rally cars in the H6 Impreza.
To the final corner now in Nevis Station, hairpin.
And in that two-wheel drive battle, Chris Hay goes just that little bit faster at 2 minute 35.7. So consistent day for Chris. Within Kiwi. So we see Dave Ollis. Oh, right out wide for Dave.
So there's a little bit of room in there. Oh, he's just about lost it altogether.
Crikey, that was a big moment.
Overcorrection.
Get it all back together as he heads towards the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin, but that will have certainly got his heart rate running.
Yeah, there are some scary drops as you wind your way up through this tighter part of the course. For a moment, it all crossed up.
It's just so tricky when you get out in the loose like he did. Yeah, especially after a couple of runs, there's a lot of dirt moved over there and rocks and everything, and the car can just take over. Not shy over the jump though, and a great jump, but I dare say that moment will have slowed him. So this is Ray Casey that we see now. This is the ex-Andy Martin Subaru Impreza, finished second in the Rally Challenge last year of the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship. We look forward to seeing Andy's new Volkswagen Polo R5.
It's exciting, isn't it? Really exciting.
Andy couldn't make it this weekend. He tells me he's away on a romantic weekend away.
Right.
So hope you're enjoying Andy. I'm sure you're tuning into this. Sounds like the best thing you can do on a romantic weekend away.
It's Casey.
That we can mention on a PG show anyway. Ray Casey nicely out of that final corner. Looks like he's getting more and more comfortable with that car with every run.
The finish. Nice tidy run from Casey.
This is one of the favourite cars of a few people here. Certainly brings back a lot of memories. This is Stu Weber. Stu, of course, a mechanic for Possum Board back in the day when he used to run this car.
What years are we talking for Possum competing in that car?
I think this one was the car that got rebuilt after the 96 Rally New Zealand crash.
Big crash he had, yeah.
So late 96 through 97 is, and I think 98 before Possum went to the WRC car in 99. I'm sure there's a couple of people that will tell me if I've got that wrong. Kingsley Jones, I know you're watching at home. Feel free to message through and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But yeah, the iconic splash livery, and just listen to it. Just that noise, not just make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, and he throws it round like Possum used to as well. So good on Stu Weaver. That's a pretty expensive car these days, and he's just absolutely throwing it round. Fantastic. One of the local boys down here now, bases himself out of Bannockburn. Been doing a fair bit of circuit racing, he's telling me, over summer as well, in the GT3 Cup car. A couple of toys in the shed for Dunky.
This, of course, is the Andrew Hawkswood Championship winning car from 2017.
Correct, yep. And Duncan's sort of finding a bit more vigour with this car this weekend. He's been noticeably more aggressive up on the wheel.
Absolutely.
He was fourth in the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship last year, had a fantastically consistent run. And he's really grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and showing this car who's boss this weekend.
There's the final corner. Nice job again from Duncan McCrosty. He's had a good day today. We'll see whether that can lift him up. Oh, 16th, I think. 16th fastest, maybe. Won't take him.
He was 18th going into this run, although a couple of guys will have leapfrogged him. So, yeah, probably around that 16th. We see Jeff Ward. This is the ex-Richard Mason multiple championship winning car, and a big shout out to Richard Mason. Happy birthday if you are watching today. I did see some of you might be marlin fishing, so that might be keeping you occupied, but great to see Jeff out in this car, and of course Seymour branding. He is him and son Ollie are the distributors now for those cross cars that we see.
So have a very quick chat to Jeff in between the second run and this run. Just saying he's a lot left in the car. He's still getting used to it. Obviously this is his first real head out in it. Pretty excited about what lies ahead though, there possibilities with it.
Yeah, what's been handy for Jeff is obviously he's been in the ST property group. Oh, big jump from Jeff. He's always a showman. But that was left-hand drive as well, so it sort of helped get accustomed. But as we see John Spencer, this is our token West Islander. Lives in Dunedin nowadays, but still a proud Aussie. Believe he's got Ben Terry in the car, who was a top 5 runner here in the 2020 event. And he's an interesting character, to say the least. But John's certainly a very accomplished driver. Ran as part of the Mitsubishi factory team in Australia over the previously.
Here's Hyundai hairpin.
That's one of the old Reece Jones Rally Sport Evo 7s that they built back in the day for PWRC and APRC campaigns. Just cutting right in on that final Ben Nevis hairpin and got the car up on 2 wheels, but seems to keep it pretty tidy. And you see as the cars get faster, the airtime gets bigger. Dean Bond, the local legend of Balclutha. Great to see Bondy out. This another car with a lot of history, ex-Ross Meekings, Chris West. Tom Pritchard had that one for a while. Now tucked away in Bondy's garage.
Through Repco hairpin, now up towards the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. Corm's caught a couple of drivers out this run.
Just seems to be a bit of a bump on the apex there, doesn't it? So
just throws them a little bit wide where it's a little bit soft, a little bit more loose stuff, and then just corrections and harder to...
Probably wouldn't worry Dylan Turner too much if he was down here, but he's not, so pretty safe. Bondi up to the Ben Nevis hairpin. Tell you what, they'll budge the temperatures certainly.
Oh, she's warm.
Might need a fresh t-shirt tomorrow. Bondi over the finish line, and we'll start getting some of these times through to you. So Ray Casey, the fastest so far. He did look like he had a bit of a charge going on at 2:24.0. Waiting on a couple of those times, but John Spencer through in a 25.9. Jeff Ward 26.6, just ahead of Sean Haggerty.
Here's the first of the quads.
Duncan McCrosty in a 2:29. So there's a good mix of rally cars, cross cars. That time of Andrew Rudd's now starting to head down the list a little bit, but still pretty impressive.
So there's 4 of these quad bikes.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see Ian Fitch, because he's just that's a whole spectacle on its own. I say it with the greatest respect, but that guy is just absolutely nuts.
It's a mixture of admiration and disbelief.
Yes,
just how ballsy he is.
Yeah. So this is Reece Young. We see him, the way he leans in. When you watch Ian Fitch do it, it's that little bit more animated and that little bit quicker. It's a far more standard bike, this one of Reece's, the Yamaha YFZ. It still cops a good dose of air over the finish. This one's Ian Newman. So this is a bit more of a modified bike. You see the wings on it. You can hear it in the exhaust note, to be fair. It sounds a lot more angry as he works his way up the hill, and these guys are, again, like the bike guys, hats off to them. This is pretty ballsy stuff. As we see him up around the Ben Nevis hairpin. Plenty of power down. Oh, a bit of a slide. Hang on to it, man. Up over the jump. The wings work nicely. That flew nice and flat.
Mark Willis, I think.
With helicopter in chase, yeah, that'll be be Mark.
Very shortly.
Not quite sure what happened there. As I said, I suspect something in the drive line from where he was looking. Hope, maybe just a chain. That'll be the simplest thing. If it's a gearbox, it's probably a bit more of a big job. Might have to get a bloke in. But we see Mark Willis work his way up, and again, the way that they distribute their own body weight, leaning over, working the handlebars hard, getting that power down. It's an absolute art to see these guys on the quads.
Yeah, it's more than just pointing in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost biomechanics about it.
Absolutely, and then ducks down, get that head down nice and low, avoid the wind resistance, and come over the finish.
So do we see the super quad? The fact that there's a gap here does not bode well in that sense.
No. Possibility of a 2-minute gap. There is definitely a safety gap after the quads, and hopefully Fitchy, but
the good news, I guess, for Fitchy is he does have a good banked run already in the can.
Yep, so we can see something coming up towards Stonehenge, I say. Yeah, that sounds like it's screaming, although it could be one of the cross cars as well. Let's see what pops up. No, it is the cross cars, so no Ian Fitch, sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen. This is, in fact, Paul Bugler. Paul.
Okay. Yep. So Fitchy, as I said, has banked a time. That first run was still competitive, so it'll put him in reasonable stead for tomorrow.
Yeah, we're second fastest coming into this run. We'll see what sort of improvement the likes of some of these quick cross carts like Matt Penrose and the likes of Michael Tall and a few guys like that can come up with and see if they can displace him. But I'm sure that Fitchy could potentially improve on his first run, but it's not a bad banker.
So here it is.
Just a reminder that format sees your fastest time from today combined with the last run of tomorrow, which will also be streamed live. Paul Bugler up over the field. Plenty of airtime. These little cross cars fly well.
Should be Reece Gould.
Yep. Number 71.
Good to hear people watching from far and wide. Someone messaged earlier to say they're out deer stalking up in the hills somewhere.
Yep.
Stop to have a watch on the live stream.
Probably, I'm guessing with the volume turned down, we don't want to scare the deers away. Just had confirmation there that possibly was 99 in the World Rally car, so 98, late 96, 97 and 98 was the lifespan of that car. So we see Reece Gould.
Mr. Jones on the message, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, Ben Fretwell. So normally works as a mechanic on Hayden Patton's car. And great to see him out doing a skid, sharing this car with Ben Cuban. This is the Andy Smith-owned car. Oh, Ben riding right up. He's not shy of commitment. Knows where all the cuts are. Whoa, look at that right out wide. Hang on to it, man. It's up through that Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. This is where a few people have got out in the loose stuff. Not Ben, though.
This has been a good run.
Yeah, he looked pretty committed from where we're sitting. Nicely thrown into the Ben Nevis hairpin. Good power down, so this will be a good time for Ben Fretwell.
Let's see where that puts him.
See if that...
Prendergast, I think.
Yeah, it does look like Darcy Prendergast. Yeah. just got away with that. He's a little bit wide through the Repco hairpin, but he managed to drag it back in nicely and not compromise that left-hander.
Right again there. There's Undergrassed. Again, the New Zealand hairpin. And corner to go.
Of course, he was here 2 years ago, that inaugural event on a quad, so now he's put a little bit more metal around him, but
maybe he'll come back in a rally car in a couple of years' time.
Quite tidy through the Ben Nevis hairpin there, and does some really gas up the line. Big jump.
Good hang time there too.
Yep.
Next driver, Jack Winter.
So he's a young fella that has had plenty of good wraps around him. He's been, if we get into this run, sitting just outside the 10 and 11th place. Recently displaced by that run of Andrew Rudd and Joe Quantock as well. So he was just inside the 10 and look for him to improve.
To the final corner now.
Yeah, well, you can see why people give him a good rap. That was pretty impressive through there.
Absolutely.
Oh, big jump. This will be Ollie Ward.
So we saw there Jeff.
Yep. There's plenty of father and son teams. There's 4 of them that I can count. We've seen the Pauls, the Judds.
Quantocks.
Ah, yeah, it's a 5. Yep. Yep, Silcox as well. We'll see Harry up next, Harry Silcock. And as we see Ollie Ward, he's certainly one of the contenders in that National Cross Car Championship. Fella, I think he's 16 years of age off the top of my head. Whereas his dad keeps reminding us, not old enough to buy him a beer yet.
That's a nice job.
Oh, a little bit sideways out of that final corner, but shouldn't be a bad run for Ollie. Great little battle amongst these guys. Just 3 to come. This is Harry Silcox. We saw Dad John in the RX-7.
Sharing this car with Sean Haggerty.
Yep.
It's Ari Pettigrew, Matt Penrose to come. This is what represents the pointy end of the cross car field.
I think this is Harry's first driving one, so he's doing exceptionally well. Just sort of got into driving in the last 18 months or so. Super passionate rallying fan.
How old is he, Glenn?
Yep. He's he'd be late teens, I think. Late teens. Harry.
Great to see the next generation coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that families out here doing this sort of thing and having some fun.
Ari Pettigrew.
Yeah. Didn't this kid set the rallying world alight last year in the BMW and got himself a drive in the Holden Barina AP4 for the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship this year? That's the Manukau Auto Centre owned car.
It'll be interesting to see how he goes this year. A lot of eyes will be on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real talent.
Plenty of promise, and he really has been up the front of this field harassing. Yeah, he's sixth coming into this run and second of the cross cars. So we'll see what Ari can do. Certainly a beautiful line out of that Ben Nevis station here, but up towards the flying finish, carrying plenty of speed.
All right, so the last of the cross cars, Matt Penrose.
Matt Penrose, the defending national cross car champion. And we see, a bit of a moment going into Repco. That car just rode right up the bank. It doesn't look like it's cost him too much time, but a bit of a hairy moment.
Certainly leaving nothing out there as Penrose again Tight on the inside, a little bit wide on the exit of that left-hander.
There's an interesting line from Matt there. He's a lot tighter in. A lot of guys are hanging it out wide and hitting the apex late, whereas he almost turned that into a double apex just before the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin and up towards the Ben Nevis station hairpin at the top of the hill. Top of New Zealand's highest public road, and he had that left front wheel right up over the bank. Almost speedway style, riding the berm. Big jump, so I think that will be a quick time. He was third overall going into this run, so it'll be really interesting to see what time he records as we see Ari Pettigrew go to the top so far with a 2 minutes 20.6, so that puts him into second place. Now check this out on screen, one of my favourite cars here, the ex-Ashley Forrest record-holding Mitsubishi Starion V8, ex-Kim Austin, Don Hickman. Graham Shearing at the wheel now as he goes through the Repco hairpin, and just listen to that big V8 scream.
See if we can hear it when it gets up towards us on top of the hill here.
Not the easiest car to drive. It was always a bit agricultural, and Kim, was the master of absolutely grabbing a bull by the horns and certainly not being afraid of it. But Graham just ringing the neck of that car up the hill.
Just until we get the power down here.
Speaks up 600-700 horsepower out of that car, depending on the tune. Now we see Kevin Laird. So his father, we talk about fathers and sons being involved. Well, Kevin's competing. Roger's Clark, of course. He's the man calling the shots behind the scenes. Great amount of work that him and the Eastern Southland Car Club team have done to support this event, along with Paddon Rally Sport Group. Jack Smith, he made a great decision to get us down here, and we see Matt Penrose at 2 minutes 19.2, or I think it was a great decision because I got to go away for the weekend. I don't know if anyone sitting at home thinks it's a great decision. But Matt Penrose slots into second with a 2 minutes 19.2, just ahead of Ari Pettigrew. So that cross-car battle's hot. So we see Kevin Laird around the Ben Nevis hairpin. Gets that power down. We're into the unlimited four-wheel drive cars now, and you can just hear that raw power.
Absolutely. So Penrose, the first the drivers outside of Paddon to go under the 2 minute 20 mark. 2:19.2.
The question is, will Hayden go under the 2:10 bracket? He's at 2:10.3 at the moment as we see Murray O'Neill. So normally we see Murray in the co-driver's seat alongside Jeff Ward. At Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship, but here at the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200, he's brought his own toy out to play. And two of the real characters, Murray and
No case, yeah.
I know they've given you one or two curly answers in an end-of-stage interview, Dale Budge.
Yeah, they do like it. They like to play the left-hand drive card at times too.
That would never confuse you, would it? So we just look Murray, high horsepower Evo. He's right on the limiter as he came into the Ben Nevis hairpin. Trying to get some traction. Just trying to find a long time sheet. Not successful, so he's somewhere there. So no, it's one thing to have all the horsepower. You've got to get it down onto the road, and that's where more modern cars are just that much more efficient. As we see Jason Clark all the way down from Blenheim, long-time rallying competitor, and loves these sprint-style events. You hear that anti-lag crackle and pop. Car had a real history of drivers, the likes of Jeff Hill, Gary Cliff in this car. Bit of airtime there for Jason. So
as we get down to the last handful of cars.
Yep, we're getting down to the pointy end now as we see Stefan Moser-Rust. So I don't think he's put together the clean run he might have hoped so far. Another one of the high horsepower Evos.
More promising so far.
You can see the way it gets out of those corners. Well, he gets a little bit wide there. Again, just touches that apex and it's pushing them wide.
So coming at, 10 past 4 on time. Still feel plenty of heat in the sun.
Yep. As we see Stefan, and yeah, then we're getting into the heated end of the overall battle too. Stefan up over the finish, and he can put the car away overnight. So we now see
First of the two Wellington.
Yeah, this is Steve Wellington. There's also Mike Wellington, who we'll see a little bit later on, which is in one of Hayden Patton's old Evo 8 that David Holden used to win the 2016 Primary Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship.
These two were absolute dead heat in the first run.
Yes.
Two brothers. Could not be separated.
Yeah, quite impressive.
Both been there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think Mike was a little bit quicker on the second one, so there's some bragging rights to be had. Oh, right out wide there. Using a little bit more of the road than he would have liked out of the Ben Nevis station hairpin there and up over the finish. A little bit of a conservative jump there. Dave Quantock now. Family bragging rights on the line here between him and son Joe. Daughter Emma in the passenger seat of that car too, so it's a real family affair for the Quantocks. Oh, a little bit wide through the left-hander there, and it just delayed him getting on the power. Hopefully that's not too costly, but there's going to be a few tenths in that.
Felt like an age to get the power down.
Through that Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
A number of Skodas that are competing in New Zealand Rally now, but this is the AP4 version.
Yeah, so this one locally built and developed. Originally built by Glenn Inkster and the team. Built out at Force Motorsport. And then fairly developed by Dave and his team as well. So, Q Sport team. And jump there. So, we'll see what those times look like as we head across to
Sean Haggerty, I think.
Yeah, this is Sean Haggerty. The Mad Scotsman, we've seen him once, we'll see him again.
Bella in the car, I think.
I think his son Buzz might actually be in the car for this run. A little bit sideways out of the left-hander following the Repco hairpin there. Just kill a bit of momentum, but yeah, great to see Sean and Bella, another father-daughter combination, working well together.
Again, very aggressive as he has been right throughout the day so far in both vehicles.
Yeah, you never question Sean's commitment. As he's up towards the Ben Nevis station hairpin, sideways in as you like. Oh, beautiful exit from Sean Haggerty.
Nicely done. The Scotsman up to the finish line. He will see the line.
Huge jump.
There's plenty of hang times. Now we see Mike Wellington.
Yep, so this is the ex-Paddon Evo 8 we were talking about, ex-Brian Stokes.
2016 TRC champion car.
Yep, in the hands of Dave Holder. Also had a stint with Cleve Cockshawn, Sarah's brother. Now in the hands of Mike Wellington. I think actually Nathan Quinn also drove this car in his national championship campaign of 5 different events with 5 different cars.
So he's getting quicker and quicker. Cars to go.
We're down to the final handful, so this should be Mike Tall. And we should see Neil Webb and then Hayden Paddon. It'll be a case for... Tall was there or thereabouts amongst the podium spots.
Yeah, he was certainly knocking on the door. Just a little bit of a gap here.
hopefully no issues. This event last year, he got to the final run on Sunday afternoon, and he'd been telling us about this mode number 1 that he had on the engine map, and he was a little bit concerned about turning it up, and he decided he would for the final run, and it got all of about 100 metres and lay all its contents across the floor. So hopefully nothing like that's happened for Mike Doyle again this time. As we do see a dust trail heading up towards Stonehenge. But this is Neil Webb, so, well, drama for Mike Doyle, one of the front runners. Not quite sure what's happened there. And Neil Webb, and he'll be looking to fire a shot. Probably not quite where he'd want to be so far, sitting in 10th. There's plenty of power in that car. He's not shy of it. Another one just picking up that apex. So they're all, it's that fine line. You don't want to be wide of the apex, you cost yourself tenths of a second. You don't want to cut it too much, you cost yourself many seconds. It's a really fine balance.
It certainly is, as we see second to last car.
Big Scandinavian flick into the Ben Nevis hairpin. Listen to that car trying to put the power down. No shortage of grunt in the little Mitsubishi Mirage.
Head up very shortly after we see Hayden come past. We'll try and get up and have a word with a couple of the competitors. So, I think one last car, and it should be the Hyundai New Zealand i20 AP4++. Helicopters, the dead giveaway is, there it is. Hayden Patton through the gate there over the cattle stop.
Yeah, this is the fast piece of road that Budgie was talking about. You see them. This is 5th and 6th gear. This is big kahuna stuff. Just about airborne over the crest there. And then it's down a couple of gears. This is a tricky series of corners here. It sneaks up on you quite quickly. Beautifully done from Hayden there. He throws it well sideways. Wow, he's not lacking commitment.
Yeah, spectacular stuff from the WRC rally winner as he gets up to Ripco hairpin. Now the tighter stuff goes in. Quickly the car changes direction.
Yep, and gets that power down. And that's the key to getting up the hill. Bit of understeer through there. He's out wider than he'd like to be. Oh, just look at the way that car changes direction through the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. On the power, look at the dust trails, the wing working beautifully.
And he's out of us.
Throws it in, he gets a big cheer from the VIP section, and he's absolutely on the gas all the way up to the finish. How much airtime does he get?
Nice job from Hayden Patton, and that will complete our run of cars. So that'll be the times. Blair will stay with you and try and give you some updates on those times as we head into tomorrow's action. Remember the quickest time today added to the final run tomorrow, and that gives you your championship time. So I'll leave you there, Blair, and go up and see if we can talk to a couple of these drivers.
Absolutely. You go see if you can speak to our top 3, which at the moment looks like it's Hayden, Matt Penrose and Ari Pettigrew. So the cross car's certainly faring well. What a spectacular day it's been. Beautiful conditions here at the Ben Nevis Station, Golden 1200. Massive thanks to the likes of Repco, Hyundai New Zealand, Ben Nevis Station, Pad & Rally Group, WinMax Pads, Design Windows, all the partners that make these magical events happen. It's just so special to be able to get into such a spectacular part of the country, as we say, New Zealand's highest public road, and the fact that we can close it off and these guys can put on such a spectacular display is just an absolute sight to behold. I know the competitors are absolutely buzzing about the challenge that this road represents, and it really is a mixture of all sorts of conditions with, as we say, some really, really fast stuff down the bottom of the hill, some tight stuff like that we've shown you on the live stream. It's a great combination. All right, so we'll just cut to a replay now while Budgie makes his way up to the final control, where the try and get an interview with our top 3 for the day. It's,
we pick up Shan now coming up towards the top part of the stage. So he lines up to now what becomes the tighter part. We'll see some of these switchbacks starting with the Ripco hairpin.
and again, this is where, being front-wheel drive, this car does just lose out a little bit getting out of these tight corners like the Ripco hairpin.
You see there, it's a lot steeper than it perhaps looks on camera.
7 of Steve Taylor. This has got a H6 Subaru motor, so we saw Tom Milliken with one in the Subaru, which is becoming quite a common conversion. For seeing them in an RX-7, that's probably a little bit unique, but
It certainly is.
this is the beauty of an event like this, is you can bring just about anything. You can come up with what I'm talking about. That's possibly as likely as anything else out there.
Quite possibly. I've seen a couple of cars do that, almost that same spot, so I just don't know if there's something about it that
there's
people are missing gears or...
A couple of corrugations in there, and as we talked about it, this final corner here, the Ben Nevis one, there's some really hard-packed stone in there, and if you load up the drivetrain, not a factory produced engine like the BDA Escorts, and over 300 horsepower out of this corner, and just puts that power down. There's a lot of power to be. Well, he makes a bit of a liar out of me there. A little bit of a moment as he comes out of the final corner and up towards the flying finish. But
As we see Chris Hay now,
hey, it's Chris Hay.
the MR2.
Yeah, the Nissan turbo motor in the middle, inspired by the Lancia 037, and wings for Africa on this one. Certainly, I believe the defending two-wheel drive Hillclimb champion of New Zealand. Bit of redemption, having had a mechanical failure that put him out of this event 2 years ago. So Jeff Judd got close to that. It did a 37.3 in the third run. So chances are we will see Chris Hay lead the two-wheel drive rally cars overnight.
Fishing out.
And also helps out a lot in the Western Car Club, organising events and the like. So it's one of those sports that's largely volunteer based, and it's great to see competitors giving back to help it all, make it all happen. Plus Hayden Padden, the way the shock absorbers work, they just flatten out. They'll have no idea that those corrugations exist. And she's absolutely flat up over the jump.
Good job.
Paul's been ticking along quite nicely.
Just runs a little wide there.
Oh, yeah.
Ends up really cutting that left-hander.
Really compromises you run out of there, and it's a big uphill climb. Even in the four-wheel drive cars, that momentum is key. And in that two-wheel drive battle, Chris Hay goes just that little bit faster at 2:35.7. So consistent day for Chris. And then for Dave.
There's a little bit of room in his. Oh, he's just about lost it altogether.
Crikey, that was a big moment.
Overcorrection.
Get it all back together as he heads towards the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin, but that will have certainly got his heart rate running. The challenge last year of the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship. We look forward to seeing Andy's new Volkswagen Polo R5 debut.
Exciting, isn't it? Really exciting.
Andy couldn't make it this weekend. He tells me he's away on a romantic weekend away.
Right.
So hope you're enjoying Andy's. Bought back in the day when he used to run this car.
What years are we talking for possibly competing in that car?
I think this one was the car that got rebuilt after the 96 Rally New Zealand crash.
Big crash he had, yeah.
So late 96 through 97 is, and I think just that noise not just make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, and he throws it round like Possum used to as well. Some good on Stu Weaver, that's a pretty expensive. And Duncan's sort of finding a bit more vigour with this car this weekend. He's been noticeably more aggressive up on the wheel.
Absolutely.
He was fourth in the Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship last year, had a fantastically consistent run. And he's really grabbing it by the scruff of the neck, and 18th going into this run, although a couple of guys will have leapfrogged him. So yeah, probably around that 16th as we see Jeff Ward. This is the
Bennett. Pretty excited about what lies ahead, though. The
and
possibilities with it.
Yeah, what's been handy for Jeff is obviously he's been in the ST for ST Brian Property Group. Oh, big jump here in the 2020 event. And he's an interesting character to say the least. But John's certainly a very accomplished driver, ran as part of the Mitsubishi factory team in Australia over the previously.
Here's a Hyundai hairpin.
That's one of the old Reece Jones Rally Sport. Great to see Bondi out. This another car with a lot of history, ex-Ross Meekings, Chris West. Tom Pritchard had that one for a while. Now tucked away in Bondi's garage.
Through Repco hairpin, now up towards the Hyundai New Zealand hairpin.
Tell you what, they'll budge the temperatures certainly.
Oh, she's warm.
Might need a fresh t-shirt tomorrow. Bondi over the fin, that little bit more animated and that little bit quicker. It's a far more standard bike, this one of Reese's, the Yamaha YFZ. Still cops a good Ben Nevis hairpin. Plenty of power down. Oh, a bit of a slide. Hang on to it, man. Up over the jump. And the wings work nicely. That flew nice and flat.
Mark Willis, I think.
With helicopter in chase. Yeah, that'll be Mark.
Very shortly.
Not quite sure what happened there. As I said, I suspected.
So it'll just put him in reasonable stead for tomorrow.
Yeah, he was second fastest coming into this run. We'll see what sort of improvement the likes of some of these quick cross carts like Matt Penrose and the likes of Michael Tall and a few guys like that can come up with and see if they can displace him. But I'm sure that Fitchie could potentially improve on his first run, but it's not a bad thing.
Good to hear people watching from far and wide. Someone messaged earlier to say they're out deer stalking up in the hills somewhere.
Yep.
Stop to have a watch on the live stream.
Probably, I'm guessing. Oh, Ben riding right up. He's not shy of commitment. Knows where all the cuts are. Whoa, look at that, right out wide. Hang on to it, man. It's up through that Hyundai New Zealand hairpin. This is where a few people have got out in the loose stuff. Not Ben, though.
This has been a good run.
He looked pretty committed from up.
Prendergast, I think.
Yeah, it does look like Darcy Prendergast. Yeah, he just got away with that. He's a little bit wide through the Repco hairpin. Yeah, well, you can see why people give him a good rap. That was pretty impressive through there.
Absolutely. That's a nice job.
Oh, a little bit sideways out of that final corner, but shouldn't be a bad run for Ollie. It's a great little battle amongst these guys. Just three to come. This is Harry Silcox. We saw Dad John in the RX-7.
Sharing this car with Sean Haggerty.
Yep. Certainly a beautiful line out of that Ben Nevis station hairpin. Up towards the flying finish, carrying plenty of speed. There. Oh, bit of a moment going into Repco. That car just rode right up the bank. It doesn't look like it's cost him too much time, but a bit of a hairy moment.
Certainly leaving nothing out there as Penrose again. Tight on the inside, a little bit wider.
V8, ex-Kim Austin, Don Hickman. Graham jeering at the wheel now as he goes through the Repco hairpin, and just listen to that big V8 scream. But Graham just ringing the neck of that car up the hill.
Listen to get the power down here.
Speaks up 600-700 horsepower out of that car. Slots in the second with a 2 minutes 19.2, just ahead of Ari Pettigrew. So that cross car battle's hot. So we see Kevin Laird around the bend even. So normally we see Murray in the co-driver's seat alongside Jeff Ward at Brian Green Property Group New Zealand Rally Championship, but here at the Ben Nevis Station. get some traction. Let's try to find all the time shoots. See Jason Clark, all the way down from Blenheim. Long-time rallying competitor and loves these sprint-style events.
So coming up to, what are we, 10 past 4 on time. There's still plenty of heat in the sun.
Yep. As we see Stefan, and yeah, then we're getting into the heated end of the overall battle too. Alright, so that's it from a spectacular first day here at the Ben Nevis Station Golden 1200. Hayden Padden sets the pace with a 2 minutes 8.2, 11 seconds faster than Matt Penrose, second in the first of the cross cars, just ahead of Ari Pettigrew on a 2:20.6. That's a huge battle. Mike Wellington right in there at 2:21.8, Neil Webber 2:22.2, so a huge jump up from him in that final run. Sean Haggerty, Ian Fitch, Steve Wellington, Mike Toole and Dave Quantock round out the top 10 at what's been an amazing day here. Don't forget to join us again from 2 o'clock for that final run. It's the combination of those results and tomorrow's top 10, tomorrow's final run that will determine the winner.